So do you like making grilled cheese, paninis, other hot stuff sandwiches, French toast, and more? Today we're going to be looking at the Gotham Steel Sandwich Grill. I think I've seen this before. Like 20 years ago, I think I used to have one of these. Anyway, this is Jeff with Jeff Reviews For You, and my channel is dedicated to reviewing as seen on TV items, consumer gadgets, other household goods, and you know what? Once in a while, I do a little DIY just because I like to. If you think that's a cool idea, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below and clicking the bell right next door so you're notified every single time I do a review video just like this one. Now, let's get to a quick unboxing of the Gotham Steel Sandwich Grill. Gotham Steel Sandwich Maker retails for about $19.99, and that's right in that sweet spot for as seen on TV price points. If this was a little more expensive, I think that'll be overpriced. I think 20 bucks is just about right. So let's open up and see what we have. All right, first thing I notice is I have a packet of instructions. It looks like some recipes, and then I have the unit itself. All right, let's see. Packed in styrofoam nicely, in a plastic bag. I have the Gotham Steel. Can you see the logo right there? Gotham Steel Sandwich Maker. It looks pretty basic, almost like you plug it in and it heats up. I guess the red might mean it's warming and the green might mean it's ready, but I'll look in the direction to find that out. Let's open up and reveal the copper inside. Oh, there's a piece of paper. That's pretty much what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the directions and then see what we do to set it up. Most likely there's an initial step with anything you use for cooking. You always have to pre-treat it or do something first. So let me check into that. We'll set it up. And then you know what? I'm going to cook something for breakfast. I'm going to cook something for lunch. And then I'm also going to try to do a dessert. We'll see how this thing stacks up to what it says. Just read through the startup or first use instructions. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take a damp cloth, wipe off the entire unit, top, bottom, middle. Be careful of the plug. They do say lots of times, watch out for the plug. Don't kink the plug. Don't turn the plug or twist the plug. They even say if the plug looks damaged, don't use it. So they definitely want you to take care of the plug. So I wiped it with a damp cloth on the outside, but I'm going to do the same thing on the inside, okay? They want you to get off whatever I guess was from the factory because there's one more step that we have to do. We actually have to run this. Now, it doesn't say how long we run this. It just says put it through a cooking cycle. And during that cycle, it says you may notice smoke coming from the unit. You may notice a smell coming from the unit. And that's only on the very first use. So I guess it's burning something off. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to switch the angle here. I'm going to plug this in, let it run for 5 minutes because that's the typical heating cycle for anything that's cooking. So I'm going to let it run for a whole cooking cycle, and then we'll see if we see any of those things like the smoke or if I smell anything. So let's do that now. All right, so it's been 2 minutes and the light turned off. I will say I notice a foul odor right now. It smells pretty gross, actually. Let me open this up, and I'm going to see the actual temperature of these little things right here. All right, so right now it's 472 degrees, about 381 on the top. And so that's the temperature it's showing. I'm going to let this cook now for about 5 minutes before we do our first test. Make sure you click this tight. I've ran this through the cleaning process, and I do want to note that the whole unit stays pretty hot, so be careful with this around kids because the top of this right now is about 100, 110 degrees. The only thing really safe to touch is this front handle. Well, the light just turned on again. So that light means the unit itself cooled down to a point where now it needs to reheat. So it's going to reheat up to the full temperature, and then we're going to try to cook some eggs. Now, the disappointing part is I could not find how to cook eggs in their recipe guide. Although the infomercial said yes to eggs, the recipes didn't have anything in there. So I'm going to cook 1 egg, regular. Oop, we're ready again. You hear that sizzle? Now let's put this one in. This is just an egg mixed up for like an omelet style. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of cheese and a little bit of pepperoni, not to overwhelm it. But this is actually one cut pepperoni and just a little bit of cheese. Now, I don't know how long to cook this, so I'm going to check this every few minutes just to see what it looks like. No butter or oil was used because they tell me I don't need to. So let's check it in about a minute. It has been 3 minutes since I started these eggs. Let's check them and see how they look. All right, so it looks like it's been cooking. I do see it looks like where some spillage from the omelet side came over. Now, the claim to fame of this is that you can just let this slide off. So without burning myself, I'm going to hold it by this handle. And no, it's not going to just slide off. Let's see. Oh, maybe though. Oh, look, that wasn't so bad. All I had to do was release it with a plastic spatula. And look at that. A nice omelet and a nice fried egg. Cooked both sides. Look pretty good. You know what? Test one. 3 minutes on the eggs. I'm very impressed. Now, let's check out some sandwiches. But first, I'm going to take my damp cloth and be careful and clean off the excess oil because that's what it tells me to do, okay? So I'm going to clean off the excess oils, top and bottom. And now since I've just used it, I'm going to close it because the green light just came back on and I need to wait for that green light to turn off so I know that I can use it again. I said I was going right into cooking some lunchtime items, but I decided to touch base first about the eggs. So the omelet and the fried egg that I cooked were honestly both overcooked. So I'd put them in for about 3 minutes. So if you like them a little lighter, I would go maybe 2 minutes. So be careful. That's a trial and error thing. The recipe guide that it came with comes with a lot of elaborate things to cook. Some things that take a lot of prep. I'm not necessarily going to do those because I'm not looking to show off my culinary expertise or lack thereof, but I am going to be doing some everyday practical things that you might do at home. But for the egg part, maybe cook them a little lighter, 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes, just check on them more frequently. The omelet tasted good and the egg tasted good, but it wasn't a fried egg. It was really, really well cooked. So I guess it was fried, but it wasn't sunny side up or something like that. So I just wanted you to know that before we get into cooking some grilled cheese sandwiches and such. Okay, so let's cook some lunch. And I said earlier, I read through the menu items and they were just really too complicated. So I'm just going to make mini pizzas. So I have two different kinds of bread. I have white bread and I have wheat bread just because I want to see the difference. Now, I will say I buttered both the one sides of the bread just because every direction said butter your bread. Even though this thing says no butter or oil needed, I'm going to try it out. So let's put a piece here. Let's put a piece here. I'll see if I can do it this way. That one's a little smaller. So I'm going to use some mozzarella cheese, just a little bit here in the middle, not to overstuff it. And then let's throw some pepperonis on there. We'll see how this does with, actually I'll do it this way. Now, if you like, you can add some sauce to this. I don't necessarily care for the sauce, so I'm just putting pepperoni and cheese. And here we go. Now, let's close up the sandwich maker. I will say this is just regular Nature's Own bread, and it looks a little too small. This one's also Nature's Own. It just looks a little bigger, but let's close this up. And they say sandwiches take about 5 minutes. Now, this is pretty hard to push down and clip, but I ended up getting it done. So let me check it in about, I'll check in 2 minutes, see what happens, and then I'll check a couple minutes after that to see when we're done. So I checked this at the 2-minute mark, and now it's about 4 minutes. If you can see the steam coming out, I'm thinking it's about ready. So let's unclip this and open it up. And it looks toasted, a little dark in some of the areas, but I think it looks good overall. Let me just open this up. That came right out. Now that again, it was buttered. So, and the item itself doesn't look too dirty. Pretty easy to clean. But you know what? Let's break into this sandwich and see what it looks like on the inside. Let's see. Without burning myself. Do you see that in there? Nicely grilled cheese with pepperoni mini pizzas. I think I'm going to be ready for some dessert. So you may be noticing that I'm wearing a different shirt, and that's because it's a different day. I just couldn't get all that cooking done in one day. But I have some pie crust and I have some peach filling because I'm going to do some desserts. Now, as I read through the directions, they have all sorts of really cool recipes, and honestly, they look delicious. And none of them said put any kind of butter or anything on the pie crust. They just said put the pie crust onto the machine and go ahead and cook. So I'm not going to be putting anything. This will be the true anti-stick test. So we have our pie crust. I'm going to roll that out and cut it into squares. And then I have my pie filling. I got peach. And we'll see what it looks like when we're cooking it and see if this really makes a delicious peach pie. Okay, so I'm ready now to make my peach pie. So I've taken my pie crust, which was round, and I cut them into as best squares as I could using my As Seen on TV Forged in Fire butcher knife or chef's knife over there. I've got my peach preserves in this plastic bowl because I just do not like storing them in the metal. So let's try this out and see how we can do this. All right. So if I put this in, I'll put it in like this. Tuck a little bit in there. It opened a little bit there, but that's okay. I'll put this one in. And now it says in the directions you can put 2 tablespoons in each. So I'm going to put at least a big peach in each, and I'll put some, that one's a small peach. So I'll put some of the sauce as well. But let me see if I can get a little more in there. So it says 2 tablespoons of whatever your filling is in each. Now, remember I said it did not say I had to butter it. I did not have to spray it. So we're just going to see. I want to make sure this is all in there and seals it in nicely. All right, those look like they're good sizes. What do you think? I'll put a little more on this one so it doesn't jip anyone off. Some more in that one too. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the toppings on, get them to cover that nicely. We're going to seal it up, and we'll check on it in a few minutes. It's been about 10 minutes since this has been cooking. I've been checking on it frequently, and you notice the green light has come on, and that's just because it pops on and off. When the temperature gets too low, it turns back on. So let's take these out now. I believe they're about ready. It looks as though the dough is cooked. A lot of times I've been checking on it, and the dough still looked uncooked. So let's see first if we can get these out. They move, look like they move. I don't want to burn myself, as always. Let's see. I'll try the old slipperoonie, like they, nope. There, that one slipped out. Let's get this other one to slip out, and there we go. Now the apple pies, I'm sorry, the peach pies took a little longer to cook than they said, and they also was going to be a lot more cleanup. I know some of the peach goo went down in there, so maybe I added too much. So when I clean this up, it's going to take a little more time. But let's cut open what the inside of one of these peach pies look like, so you can see just that hot gooiness right inside that pie. Over the last couple days in my Gotham steel sandwich maker, I've made some eggs, I made some omelets with pepperoni and cheese, I made mini pizzas on both wheat bread and white bread, and I even made some peach pie using pie crust. Now, as you watched every step of the way, this Gotham steel sandwich maker did a great job with the non-stick. Now, with the eggs, I didn't put any butter or oil, and they slid right off. That impressed me. The sandwiches in the directions, they called for butter, so I did butter the sandwiches, and they of course came off, and everything was real easy to wipe down. The peach pie that I used, when I used the pie crust, the directions also said for other pies you did not need to put any oil or butter, so I didn't. I do think I maybe put a little bit too much pie filling in it, because when I went to clean it after it was done, there was a lot of pie goo right in here, and that took a long time to clean out, and it was kind of annoying. It took me about 15 minutes to clean it out. So I will say I really like the Gotham Steel Sandwich Maker. It does exactly what it says it will do. It's about 20 bucks at Walmart. You should note that after you're done using it, it takes about 30 minutes to fully cool down. During that time, I will wipe it down. Now you gotta be careful if you choose to do that because it's hot. I like to wipe it down when it is warm because I find that it cleans off a lot easier, and almost the wet rag and the hot pan or the hot Gotham Steel Sandwich Maker almost like steam cleans it. So that's why I do it, but I do it very, very carefully as to not touch it because it does get warm. They say you're supposed to wipe down after every use. If you do need to scrape something off, you use a plastic spatula or a wood one, nothing metal. I will say when you put it away, of course, you're supposed to put it away cool and do not wrap that plug at any time. They stress that in the directions many, many times. This was my review of the Gotham Steel Sandwich Maker. I like it a lot. And with most of these type of As Seen on TV products, this is going right in the camper because I have a whole lot of uses that I'm going to do when I'm camping. I'll make grilled cheese, I'll make these pies, I'll make pizzas, I'll make eggs. It's so simple and versatile and easy to clean. That's where I'm going to use it most. This was Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a great day. You know what? I forgot. During this whole creation, I used a knife, a special knife to me, to cut all these things. The knife I used was the Forged in Fire knife. This was the As Seen on TV Forged in Fire. This happens to be the chef's knife. I use this to chop the pies, I chop the sandwiches, I chopped some of the cheese and the pepperoni. I love this knife, and I'm going to link it right here so you can watch that As Seen on TV Forged in Fire knife review. Just go ahead and click it, and I'll see you over there.